Welcome, fools of a toque, to Geek Salad's Retro Movie Reviews from the Geek Salad Podcast. I'm Andy.
And I'm Mike.
And tonight we are not going back to Pixar yet. We are going to be celebrating the 20th anniversary of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, starting with 2001's, good Lord, the Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring.
The 20th anniversary.
Hence that, yes, exactly. And we're going to be doing these every year, I think, because
that's how they released them.
Yeah, they are big undertakings. So I will say that our prep for this was completely the extended cuts, right? Okay, good, yeah. It's funny because I feel like the extended cuts are the only non-theatrical extended kind of director's vision cuts that are universally accepted as being the canonical story and not the whatever showed up in the theater.
Yeah. Once you've seen the extended versions, you can't really go back to the non-extended versions.
I've seen the extended versions so much I don't even remember what wasn't in the original cuts, other than like the Lembas bread scene at the very end, towards the end.
Well, the entire gift giving scene was not, and the only gift that you saw in the theatrical cut was the Light of Elendil.
Yeah, this will come into handy eventually, just not now. Yeah. So first off, did you see this movie in the theater?
I did.
Oh yeah, so did we. This was a big gathering. This was before you and I knew each other.
Yeah.
So this was this was me and Autumn and Jim and I think Mike C and some of our friends. We went to like the new premium theater in Framingham, which was like the first theater we had ever been to that was like first class size seats, get booze, your popcorn and your soda was free. It was included in the price of the ticket, which was a little more than a regular ticket, which is
Well, I mean, for Lord of the Rings, sure.
It was amazing because I also remember watching the trailer with Autumn. It was really the first online trailer I'd ever seen was The Phantom Menace. And that was on my old housemate's computer because he was the one with dial-up internet.
Yeah.
And then when Autumn and I were at her parents' house, and I mean we've been dating for about a year, and they released the trailer online. And it was like the size of a postage stamp.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you couldn't get much bigger with a dial-up,
which was crazy. Like, a lot of it had to do with QuickTime and all that. Yeah. So when we finally saw it on a larger screen, it was, of all movies to see this in front of, it was in front of Hedwig and the Angry Inch, where we saw the full trailer. Wow. And this was the trailer that wasn't just it was just setting you up for the story and all that. But then as the Fellowship is doing the thing and they get the big swell and you're seeing each and every one of them individually crossing over, they're showing the titles of the movies. And just as Aragorn hits the screen, The Return of the King.
Yeah.
Which was really cool. That was really cool. And you and I recently both watched this again.
Yep, I watched it last night.
Yep, I watched it last Sunday, actually, because it was the 19th was actually the official 20th anniversary. I gotta say, man, this movie just doesn't age.
Yeah. The only thing that I would notice is that is 2001 for CG, and you can tell in a few moments when they use CG.
Yeah,
it's CG.
A lot of the crowd scenes, yep, absolutely. Anything involving Legolas doing anything cool.
Yeah.
And that's throughout, though. That's throughout the entire series.
Yeah, when they're fighting the cave troll in the mines, I mean, when he jumps up onto the puppet and delivers and when Gandalf falls off and jumps off the Isengard and gets caught, it's like when the eagle's flying away, they digitally put his face on that image.
Right, exactly. Well, that's just like trying to watch, to see where the gaps are in terms of where
Give me one second.
Christopher Lee is not fighting.
Shadow is forcing his way out. So give me 1 second here.
Yeah, okay, I'll continue talking then.
I can still hear you.
Yeah, it's funny because look, we compare this to the other movies of 2001, and it's tough to go back and watch the first Harry Potter movie compared to this, considering they came out a month apart from each other. And the special effects in the first Harry Potter movie are atrocious. And
he decided he didn't want to go out after all.
Oh, he's a cat. That's what he does.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is like the special effects in Fellowship were they were next level. They were like the last time we'd seen special effects of that caliber, quite honestly, was Jurassic Park.
Yeah. Like, you notice the CG, but it does a really good job of making the CG shots quick, so like you don't have time to linger on them, and
right.
they hide them with shadows very, very well. So, yeah, you notice the CG, but the shots are so quick that you don't really care.
Right. Well, there's also a lot of practical effects being used in these movies too, which really like the forced perspective is it's crazy to me that is all like, that was just Peter Jackson sitting up late nights like, I'm going to make this movie. And what am I going to do? How am I going to do? Let's use forced perspective. And that'll allow us to move them and make Gandalf look a lot bigger than Frodo.
Yeah, I just last week I actually watched the Hot Ones with Elijah Wood.
Oh, God.
And he actually was like talking about like how like they would actually have like a tennis ball on a stick where he's supposed to be looking when he's talking to Gandalf, and he'd have one for Ian McKellen so that it looks like they're talking to each other when really they're just talking to a golf ball.
Right, exactly. There are stories of Ian McKellen having to deal with that and how, like, when he was doing The Hobbit, just feeling very isolated and lonely because there was nobody actually in the studio because they did like the double sets.
Yeah.
One set that was proportioned for dwarf size characters, and then him with his man size characters stuff. So it was said it was very lonely in that, but I like the idea of using the forced perspective to make that work. It looked good.
It did.
This was there's so much love that is put into this movie.
Oh yeah.
And obviously made by somebody who, we all know loved these books, grew up reading them. He's like once a year going to read all three of them.
I've said this before, but I've tried twice getting through all three. I think I've made it as far as like the first half of the Return of the King, and I couldn't do it.
Yeah. I think my daughter's old enough now that she might enjoy it. I mean, my kids do like they do like high adventure. I'm finishing sorry, I'm just trying to like adjust how comfortable I am here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. I got the same message. So we're reading the Chronicles of Prydian right now, and we're on the final book. So James is very much into this, and I'm like, I read the Lord of the Rings to him. That'll take a year to do, based on the fact that I do one chapter a night. But
yeah, that one might be tough for him because Tolkien is great at making worlds, but he is a very dense writer.
He never met an editor he listened to.
Right. Yeah.
Just throw a couple of recipes in here too while you're at it. I'll skip the recipe.
Okay, a chapter. You know what I need? I need a song right now to write out the whole thing. And now let's do the whole song in Elvish.
Tom friggin' Bombadil too. Oh my God. All right. So happy he didn't make it into this. There's so much about this movie. Now we talked about this kind of offline that this movie's cast is pretty goddamn perfect.
Yeah, really is.
every single actor. But you did say that there were some people in consideration, and one actor actually got cast and had to drop out.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. Well, Stuart Townsend, right?
It was Stuart Townsend that was originally cast as Aragorn.
Yeah.
He had to drop out. You know what? I don't know what movie he had to drop out for. I kind of want to say it was Queen of the Damned, but I'm not 100% sure about that. I just think that would be hilarious if it was.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I'm on Wikipedia here. It says that Jackson realized that he looked too young to be Aragorn.
mhm.
But guess who they offered the role of Aragorn to twice, and he turned it down both times.
Who's that?
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Can't see it. I really cannot see it.
Yeah, they offered him the part at the beginning of pre-production. He turned it down, and then after Stuart Townsend fell through, they offered it to Daniel Day-Lewis again, and he turned it down.
Yep. He's not. Daniel Day-Lewis isn't an ensemble player, and that's the thing. He does smaller movies where he can be front and center, and this is not that type of movie.
Yeah. I guess.
All right. Who else?
Well, a couple other names for Aragorn was Nicolas Cage.
Oh my god.
And Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe turned it down because he didn't want to be typecast and believed the role to be too similar to Gladiator.
I could more see like 1999, 2000 Russell Crowe doing that.
I could see
more
that.
So than like a Daniel Day-Lewis or even a Nicolas Cage.
But Nicolas Cage, I just can't see. Well, I'm not the biggest Nicolas Cage fan. I genuinely not.
Right. But I mean, we kind of goof on him because he's never seen a script that he hasn't said yes to. But he can be a very good actor. But yeah, I mean, and I love the fact that Viggo Mortensen essentially only got involved because his kid was like, I read this book. You need to do this movie for me.
Yeah, the executive producer, Mark Ordesky, actually saw him in a play. And I guess because of that, they gave him the script. And then his son convinced him to take it.
Yeah. And realistically, he's been nominated for like 2 or 3 Oscars, and this is still going to be the movie he's going to be remembered for.
Oh, wow. He actually got a crash course lesson in fencing from Bob Anderson.
Oh, cool.
Who was one of the guys who taught...
he was one of the... he was a fight coordinator for Star Wars.
Star Wars and Princess Bride.
Right.
He was half of the sword fighting between Wesley and Inigo.
Nice.
But, yeah.
Any other characters? Excuse me.
Oh yeah. Frodo was almost Jake Gyllenhaal.
Wow. Okay. Sure.
For Gandalf, there's actually a few of them here. Sean Connery was approached, but didn't understand the plot, so he turned it down.
Right. So I want to point out, too, that Sean Connery turning this down was the reason why he took the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Well, this will be a hit.
Yeah, it literally killed his career.
Yeah, it did. The last thing that he did.
Ooh, Ian McKellen's good buddy Patrick Stewart. He turned it down because he disliked the script.
Okay.
Patrick McGowan turned that down because of health issues. Christopher Plummer turned it down. Sam Neill turned it down because of Jurassic Park 3.
Ooh. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is, too, is that, like, out of that list, I could see Christopher Plummer being the closest to what we needed Gandalf to be. Sam Neill, though, would have... the hell wasn't he, even considered for Elrond?
Oh, you want to know who
I would
expressed
see him more
interest
as an
in Elrond? This one is going to blow your mind.
Okay.
David frickin' Bowie.
I could see that.
I could totally see that.
I'm honestly amazed they didn't get him at least for Galadriel's husband, whose name always escapes.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
David Bowie expressed interest in doing the role, but Jackson turned him down because he was like, when you see it, it would be David Bowie, it wouldn't be Elrond.
Right. And you know what the beauty of this is, I mean, when you think about this cast, like the main cast, the only one with any notoriety at that point realistically might have been Ian McKellen, and that's just because he was still coming off of an Oscar nom for Gods and Monsters.
Yeah.
John Rhys
X-Men 2000.
Huh?
Was X-Men 2000 or 2001?
X-Men was 2000. So yeah, he was also Magneto.
Yeah. Cerebro. Magneto.
Right. But even John Rhys Davies is virtually unrecognizable in this.
Yeah. He was not a fan of that makeup at all.
No, I know. I heard horror stories about that because I guess it left his skin like really just chafed and
it gave him eczema around the eyes.
Yeah, but it's one of those things that I feel like this cast is so good because they were able to disappear into these roles. That's why, like, even Sean Astin. I mean, realistically, name a movie in between Goonies and The Lord of the Rings that you remember Sean Astin in.
Rudy.
Encino Man. Yeah, exactly. But those movies were years before.
Yeah. I actually, my aunt took me to see, my aunt gave me a chance to see a movie in theaters. It was choice between was either Rudy or Nightmare Before Christmas. I went and saw Nightmare Before Christmas.
That's the wise choice.
Just a couple more roles here. I guess for Boromir, Bruce Willis expressed interest in
God.
A fan of the book. No, thank you.
Yeah.
And Liam Neeson was sent the script but passed. I could see Liam Neeson doing it actually.
I could see him doing it way more so than more so than Bruce Willis.
I know Bruce Willis would have been awful. I mean, Bruce Willis is not a good actor anyway. Sorry, he's not.
No, but not going to argue with you on that.
For Galadriel, how would you like to see Galadriel as Lucy Lawless?
No.
I mean, I texted you this after watching the movie. I don't think there's any woman alive that is more elegant than Cate Blanchett.
Absolutely. I agree with you 1,000% on that.
She is so amazing as Galadriel.
She is. She absolutely is. And everything, the way that her movement is, just her voice, the measured tones of her voice are so... I mean, everybody in this movie is so perfectly cast.
Absolutely. Even like some of the smaller roles. I mean, like Rosie.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you see Rosie.
I know. Yeah, I was just gonna say that I know that in Return of the King, in the show Sam's Kids, those are actually Sean Astin's kids.
Yeah.
And I just keep thinking, is she married to Rosie in real life? Is that his wife that just threw her in there? Or I can't remember.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But I mean, and of course, Christopher Lee as Saruman.
Oh, perfect.
He is exactly how you want Christopher Lee to be.
Yep. Exactly. Hugo Weaving's Elrond, Liv Tyler as Arwen.
Yeah. I guess the last kind of bit of casting news here is, I guess, another person that was considered for Arwen was Helena Bonham Carter.
Honestly, she belongs in the Harry Potter universe more than she does in this one.
Yeah. I think Liv Tyler is perfect for it. I mean, she's also like, I want to say like 19 years younger than Viggo Mortensen.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. But it works. It works for Arwen because she's supposed to be an elf.
Right. They're supposed to be ageless.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I mean, everything is the art direction in this movie is fantastic. And one of the big issues I usually have with Weta Productions is that you can tell that line of demarcation where the real world ends and the visual effects begin. Starting with this movie, you don't see that.
No.
There are, I mean, things. Rivendell is just so intensely gorgeous to look at. The Shire, which was a real place that they just kind of put the props around, looked fantastic. The areas of Isengard that we could see.
Yeah, like when the parts of Mordor, like when we saw Barad-dûr.
Yeah,
I mean, those are exactly how you want Mordor to look. This movie was perfect as far as what's in the book is pretty much what you see on the screen.
right, exactly. And I feel like the things that were cut out from the book were necessary cuts.
Yeah,
because again, there's a lot of stuff there that does. There's a lot that was said that didn't need to be said, I think, is the better way of putting it.
Yeah.
I
mean, the Balrog.
Oh my god,
Balrog looks amazing.
When we went to go see it in the theater, Jim was losing his goddamn mind over this, because this was the thing he'd been waiting for ever since he had read The Lord of the Rings. He had to see the Balrog. Oh,
of shadow and fire.
Oh my god, what a great design.
Yeah.
What's cool too is the suspense. I mean, you're part one of a 3-part series. They make no bones about that.
Yeah.
But there is so much suspense, especially when they're in Moria, especially when they're trying to get to the Bridge of Khazad-dûm with the just the staircases and the towers like toppling over,
and you see like all the goblins and all the orcs just coming out of the ceiling, spiders, and crawling down all those pillars.
Yep.
Oh
yeah. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. That was that. I love that. Everything about that. I just adore. The score.
Yeah, Howard Shore.
Iconic. Top 10.
I mean, just the main theme, just do 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 do.
Well, the beauty is there's so many different scores in there. We all equate the entire series to the theme of the Fellowship. But there are so many great scores in there. The Hobbit stuff, the Shire music.
Yeah, they're like more like kind of light, playful music. And then you have like the more lofty, more elegant ones for like Rivendell and Lothlorien.
Yeah,
I'm proud of myself for remembering all these Elvish names.
Oh my god, exactly. It's so crazy, and to be able to see the Shadow Realm, to be able to see what Frodo sees when he puts the ring on.
Yeah, I wondered if. Well, I mean, I haven't seen The Hobbit since it was in theaters, quite frankly, but I don't remember it looking quite like the Shadow Realm when he put on the ring.
It was. I mean, the thing is that he only does it very seldomly throughout those other movies. It's not like Frodo who keeps throwing it on, even though he knows he's not supposed to.
That ring is hard to resist, man.
It is, yeah, exactly. Oh man! And this movie gives us such a fantastic, unexpected jump scare.
Oh,
with Rivendell and
with
Bilbo wants to touch the ring one more time, and his face just like turns demonic.
Yeah, and then he just like breaks down. He's like, I'm so sorry, and just that's another thing that you like when you have like this huge like epic story like this. You expect all of the action sequences, the gorgeous sets, and all that. One thing you don't really expect, but this movie delivers in spades, is the relationships.
Oh yeah,
characters. I mean,
they do such a much better job at this than like, we can compare this to the Bakshi version,
Hmm.
which, your mileage may vary. I think it's terrible.
I don't think I've ever actually watched it, or I think I've seen bits and pieces.
See, the thing with the Ralph Bakshi version, the biggest issue I have with it is that it's very ambitious, but because it's so blatantly rotoscoped, it looks lazy. It comes across looking lazy. I feel the character designs are dreadful. The character designs are just that. They're dreadful. Especially, with the way that the hobbits change in size.
Yeah.
Just based on who's animating that day. And the dialogue a lot of that dialogue sits on top of everything else. So if there's music, the dialogue sits on top of it, and it doesn't make any sense. What about the Black Riders?
Black Riders, I love. I mean, the design,
great, yeah,
and like when they speak, it's just that like hissing voice. But then when he actually puts on the ring at Weathertop,
yeah,
and he actually sees them, like the kings that they used to be, and then you just see like what they've become, just this creatures of shadow.
Yeah, it's so. I mean, the beauty is that this movie, for a 3-hour movie, or in the case of the extended versions, a 3+ hour movie.
Yeah,
it gets a lot of stuff in there, but it doesn't drag, nor does it feel rushed. Sometimes there are those movies that they're super long, but they still feel like they have a ton of shit that they got to get into it.
Yeah.
And this movie doesn't feel rushed. And I pointed this out to you last night when you were watching it, is that even though this book did have a very distinct ending, because the Lord of the Rings was a series of 3 books.
Yeah.
That the ending felt right.
Yeah.
It felt like we are going to be turning the page to a brand new chapter now, and we've tied up the loose ends that we need to tie up for this portion of the adventure. We're going to move on to the next portion of that adventure, and I will shift the focus back to Dune real quick. That abrupt, like, you're ending it here?
Yeah, I mean, what I like is that in the movie is called The Fellowship of the Ring, and it leads up to it. The Fellowship is founded kind of midway through, and then the movie ends with the breaking of the Fellowship, which is the perfect spot. I mean, like Sam and Frodo are heading off to head up toward Mordor, and you've got Merry and Pippin captured, and you've got the other 3 heading off to try and rescue them.
Yeah.
And I mean, Boromir, I love Boromir because he genuinely, I mean, like, you see, as you watch like all the scenes, like you can see him like playing around with the hobbits. He's genuinely like teaching him how to use the sword.
Right.
He's genuinely caring about these people. It's just when the ring captures him, and he feels like he needs it for his people.
Yeah.
And like when he was talking, all the times he's talking to like he's Aragorn, he's like, like, you're ashamed of who you are, but no, these are your people too. You're a human, and you need to be proud of that. And then like after he realizes that the ring had caught him, he's genuinely remorseful, and then he's doing everything he can to redeem himself, and I think he does.
It really is kind of sad that casting Sean Bean has become a punchline now. Yeah. Because he's so good in this. And just the funny thing is just like when he picks up the ring when they're trudging through the snow.
Yeah.
And Frodo just falls back and he drops the ring. And Boromir picks it up and goes, such a small little thing. Yeah. And it was just, oh. It's just, his delivery on everything, and at the end, just scene of valor.
Yeah.
At the end, when he's just taking those in comically large arrows.
They're orc arrows. Everything was comically large about
right.
orcs.
Well, that was a cool thing too. We haven't really discussed that at all because it almost never features in a lot with the books because it's always orcs.
Yeah.
You're villains. You're dealing with orcs. I feel like the movie, and it's been, honestly, the last time I read The Fellowship of the Ring was before the movie came out. So it's been a long time.
Yeah.
I don't have much memory of the Uruk-hai being a thing in the movie. I know that they are in there somewhere. Captain Big Bad is in there somewhere. But I feel like this movie does a really good job of giving us something to worry about because the orcs are only come out at night. The Uruks are allowed to go out there, and they can run fast. They have daylight. They can.
Yeah. I mean, and one thing I really, really enjoyed, I didn't remember it. I think they added it into the extended edition when they're actually rowing down the river, and you see like Legolas just kind of like look up, and you like see that kind of like duel between him and the Uruk-hai.
Yeah,
and then that gives a little bit more context to when they come to land. He's like, "There's a shadow in my mind's eye. We're being tracked."
Yeah,
and
it
was really cool.
The funny thing with Legolas is that he has his moments in this movie, but he doesn't really kind of come into his own until the second movie. I feel.
I kind of feel the same about Gimli as well.
Yeah. They give Gimli more to do in this one, just in terms of establishing character, especially when he gets to the mines and realizes that all of the dwarves are dead.
Yeah, his cousin, who we
Balin.
actually do meet in The Hobbit.
Yep.
Dead, completely dead.
Balin is dead, but there is still one dwarf that draws breath in Moria.
That is a cool line.
That is a really great line. This movie is strangely quotable.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, you think about some of the lines. They have a cave troll.
Yeah. For me, there's really only one line that just feels kind of not right. And that's actually almost the last line of the movie when Aragorn says, "Let's go hunt some orc." I like the line. It feels a little modern for the Third Age.
I can understand that, but it's just one of those things that it does because it rallies because Gimli's all like, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the line. It just feels a little bit out of place.
Yeah. But at that point though, we've just been hyped up. We just watched one of the Fellowship die.
Yeah.
I'll allow it. It's funny because we've had Todd, who used to do these with us. Anytime we invite Todd over, so hey Todd, can I get you something to drink? Or just tea, thank you. Sure, I can't get you anything. Just tea, thank you.
Get some eggs and some toast and just tea.
Tea. Then I'm shoving cheese in my mouth because that's just me. There's actually, I don't know if you watch the actors' audio commentary.
I haven't watched that yet, no.
All right, on the extended versions, there are some great things in there because they are having a blast talking about it. I mean, this was you very rarely hear of big productions like this where, while there are hardships, no production is perfect. I mean, in this movie, Sean Astin had a stick go into his, pierce through his foot towards the end. Yeah, I know. That makes me hurt just thinking about it. But it seems like they had a really great time making this movie because there was this camaraderie of the nine. They all went out and got tattoos together, which is cool.
Actually, if you believe what it says on Wikipedia here, John Rhys Davies did not get the tattoo, but his stunt double did.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, still, I believe the myth. But listening to them talk about their experiences while they're watching the movie for the audio commentary is fantastic. And there's the Lembas bread bit with Legolas. He's like, "Oh, here comes my Lembas bread commercial."
Just one bite will fill the stomach of a grown man. Have you eaten?
He has so much fun with that in the audio commentary. So, do you have these on Blu-ray or DVD? Yes. All right. Then you have the audio commentary.
Come on. There we go.
Oh, excellent. I have the same. I actually have both the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit extended versions on Blu-ray.
I never got the Hobbit extended version. I like it. I don't love it. It's
one of these things. We had this conversation when we had our podcast about this, that the Hobbit, there is a lot to love about the Hobbit once you kind of understand how much work went into making those movies.
Yeah.
It wasn't as simple as, we're just going to crap out. This is a one movie thing. No, this kind of needed to be 3 because of the amount of stuff that they were doing, and this wasn't exactly 2 additional sequels that were crapped out. So I'll still stand to this day.
I think the Hobbit would have worked a lot better as a 2 instead of 3. I think the amount of extra stuff that they padded into the third, especially the third movie.
Yeah.
You didn't need it.
Right. I think it was there to fill in, to flesh out the story a little bit more, because the Hobbit in and of itself,
it's 200 pages.
It's 200 pages, and it's very thin in terms of, it leaves out a lot of the details, which, an overzealous editor might do. But you cannot tell me that Smaug probably isn't the greatest looking dragon in cinema history.
Oh no, the second movie, the first movie was good. Second movie is amazing. That second movie is so good.
Yeah.
Third movie,
there's a lot going on with that third movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I just, all in all, really enjoy this one. Fellowship of the Ring
absolutely
is so. Make a little announcement while we're here that coming in 2022, I'm turning 50 years old, and I am putting together my Letterboxd list of my 50 for 50. And I'll tell you straight up, Fellowship is on there. Now, my list is evolving because it's like, that one I need to replace with something else. But so yes, but I will tell you, the Fellowship of the Ring is definitely on this one. This movie is.
That's beg the question then. How would you rank the Lord of the Rings movies?
Return of the King, Fellowship, Two Towers.
Okay.
And we'll talk about this in 2 years, but man, does the Return of the King stick the landing. Yeah, and that's
it really does.
The thing with the Lord of the Rings movies it feels weird to discuss one without talking about the other two. This essentially is with extended cuts factored in 11 hours of movie time.
Yeah.
In or around 10 to 11 hours of sit down, a butts asleep movie time. But talking individually about these movies, Fellowship is always the one I take it for granted, really, because it is a really good movie, and I understand its greatness. It's just that because it's chapter 1, it just like there's a lot of establishment in there and all that, but the establishment in this really, this isn't. Here's the thing about this movie is that it doesn't give in to fan service.
No.
Because if it did, Tom Bombadil will be in it.
Yeah. He's a freaking hippie. Come on.
Exactly. I'm just gonna smoke the pipe weed and dance my little jig.
My order actually would probably be the same as yours. But the weird thing is, if could just like sit down and I could only watch one of these movies, I'd probably be watching Fellowship every single time because I think Return of the King is a better movie, but it's also a much denser watch. It's a much harder watch because it is.
I will not disagree with you on that.
This one is just the start. It's got a lot more fun to it. It's just a genuinely more, I think, fun movie.
Yeah. Well, not only that, just the establishment, the establishing exposition, having Cate Blanchett talk about that with the echoes of Elvish behind her. First of all, oh man, beautiful. Oh, yeah. But she did such a great job with that. It wasn't overdone. We didn't get a 20-minute battle scene. We got 3 solid minutes of this is what happened, this is what happened, this is what happened.
The way she speaks with her eyes is freaking amazing. Like when she just like turns her gaze to each one of the Fellowship, and then like when she like lingers on Boromir, and he just has to look away because he knows exactly what she's saying to him.
She is one of our greatest living actresses.
I can't disagree.
Yeah. And it's the entire everything, just front, middle, and back of this movie are just they're fantastic. It's and I know if you're watching this, we're kind of preaching to the choir. This is definitely in the ranks of this and A New Hope are like, yep, seeing them all. Seeing them.
Yeah. I mean, I would say if you're talking about like some of the greatest trilogies of all time, this is in the top 5.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is with this too is that I have a hard time even considering this to be a trilogy, even though technically, on a cinematic technical stance, it is. It is a trilogy. It is 1, 2, 3 movies. I pay for 1, 2, 3 movie tickets to see this
movie. Each movie does. I mean, to a certain extent, each movie does kind of stand on its own, especially this one.
Oh yeah, yeah. But because it's all like all the chapters are interlinked differently than I feel like a movie trilogy, like even Star Wars, even Star Wars. When you think about the time gaps in between, A New Hope, there's a 3-year gap between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, and a 1-year gap between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Right. Think about the Matrix. What is there it's supposed to be like a 2 or 3 year gap in between?
We're talking
those
about
1 and 2.
We're talking about some of the best trilogies ever made.
True.
The Matrix does not come into that.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. No. I have thoughts on that, but we can go over those in another time. But even Back to the Future trilogy. I mean, Back to the Future trilogy. Yeah. But technically, I guess that kind of blows my theory out of the water for talking about Back to the Future because they happen one on top of the other.
Yeah.
There is no time in between those.
No, not a lick of time, actually.
Nope. They all happen 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Which is crazy if you really think about it, because that just kind of, it's like, damn, this whole thing takes place over a couple of weeks, but not really over a couple of weeks.
Yeah. But it's also time travel, so it's kind of hard to judge exactly how long it takes.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, this film series in and of itself stands on the upper echelon of the greatest film series ever made. It really did. There's a lot of love in this. This was something that was well fleshed out. And again, filming them back to back.
Yeah.
I feel really worked for these movies versus
100%.
And we think about this going back to Dune. Dune didn't wrap production and put the movie out before they were greenlit for part 2 of that. Whereas with this one, it's more of a, we were filming in between. We need to get back to that scene. We would do that, and tight budget, tight filming for everything, and it worked. It worked really, really well.
And you know what? You don't hear this very often, but kudos to New Line for actually, like, I guess, like, what? No, I mean, no, kudos. Well, I mean, well, kudos to the movie studio itself, but in this case, it was New Line. But I guess like Peter Jackson originally went to them and said, like, "Hey, you want to make this movie about the Lord of the Rings? Like, it's 3 books. Why don't you make 3 movies?"
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was only going to do 2.
Yeah. So I mean, you don't hear very often about the studio executives actually doing something really smart about this, but good for them.
Considering that New Line is Warner adjacent, that is actually pretty impressive.
Yeah. Which I didn't I knew that, but I didn't realize that meant that the Lord of the Rings movies were all on HBO Max.
Yep,
I had my Blu-rays out either. I had them put aside.
we watched it on the Blu-rays.
I'm like, you know what? Let me just check to see if it's on streaming anyway. Oh, it's on HBO Max.
Yep.
Cool.
You know the weird thing is that because I have those same Blu-rays that you have, and I did the digital downloads that came with it. They're standard definition, which looks like garbage on my 4K TV.
Oh yeah. If you got the Blu-rays, why do you want a digital of standard?
Sometimes it's easier than having to dig out the DVDs.
No, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
But HBO Max, HD, and extended version. So yeah, I'm gonna go there.
There we go. There we go. What is there else to say, man? I love this movie.
It is so cool that the fact that they actually did integrate the languages, even the language of Mordor. Like when Gandalf actually starts speaking the Mordor, like the inscription in Mordor, and it gets dark. You can see like Elrond, like, oh, like,
yeah.
The language.
There's one more thing I want to bring up real quick, and it has to do with Ian McKellen as Gandalf. First of all, robbed again. He's been nominated for 2 Oscars, been robbed both times because he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor for this. Lost to Jim Broadbent, and I think the movie is called Iris.
Okay.
But there was a scene in this that when he comes back after researching what he thinks the ring is, and the secret is safe, and he tosses the ring into the fire, and he's like, "Does it say anything?" And Frodo's like, "It doesn't say anything." And you can see him, just his face relaxes, and it's like, wait. His eyes it's all in his eyes.
Yeah, and as soon as there's an script, like, that's when he knows, oh shit, it's back.
Yep. Exactly. It's so good. He is so good in this.
I mean he's always good.
Oh, he is always good. But just I love the fact that with this, he really is the strong lead of this. I mean, technically, this is Frodo's story, but Gandalf really, everything, his worry, his care about the hobbits, his irritation with Pippin.
Well deserved, frankly.
Yeah, exactly. But just,
and then all of his little conversations with Frodo. I mean, especially like when they just get into Moria and Frodo sees Gollum. Just his conversation, like, like many people, many that die deserve life, and many that live deserve death. Are you the one that's going to give that to them?
Yeah, that was fantastic. His just everything, especially when he realizes too, after Frodo picks up the ring the first time, he realizes that it's kind of bound to him now. He can't take it.
Yeah. And when he's like telling Frodo, "Don't offer me that ring, please."
Yeah.
Actually, that does make a question. One thing I thought of while watching this: do you think Galadriel would have been able to resist the ring, or resist it enough to use it to destroy Sauron?
Probably not, because even still, remember, she was offered the ring freely.
Yeah.
And if she took it, that's the image that you would have gotten.
Yeah.
But
I think that might have. I think she might have been powerful enough to destroy Sauron, but I also think then she would have been powerful enough to destroy pretty much everyone else.
right, exactly. She would have only destroyed him to take his place.
Yeah.
And rule with the ring.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I freaking love Galadriel. Kate Blanchett is so good.
So, yeah. So that is our thoughts on Fellowship of the Ring. What are your thoughts? Leave a polite comment below, please. Where does this rank in terms of your favorite of the Lord of the Rings movies? Is this your number 2 or your number 1? I know it's realistically there's no wrong answer with this. So, but we'd love to know that. Also, don't forget, hit that subscribe button. Give us a like, too. This is a fun talk. I love talking about Lord of the Rings. Can't wait till next year when we talk about the 20th anniversary of Return of the King.
If you've watched this movie recently, did it make you want to go out and play Lego Lord of the Rings again? It did with me.
Yeah.
But I can't find it. My version is on Xbox 360, so.
Oh, geez. I think.
Yeah.
Mine might be on the Wii.
No, I love the Wii. I wish I could use my Wii again.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% positive my version is on the Wii.
Yeah, I need to see if it's been available like my PS4 or something like that.
Yeah.
I wish.
So, but so we want to know your thoughts on Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring. Also, Mike and I host a little podcast called Geek Salad. You can check us out wherever you get your podcast from. Stitcher, iTunes, Spotify, you name it, we are there. Even though I did notice last time, with our most recent episode, Stitcher took a little while for it to load.
You know what? Stitcher's being weird because I just got the hankering to listen to one of our favorite my favorite episodes that we've done, Bryson and the Beast.
Yeah.
The pop remixes of. It's not on Stitcher.
That's weird.
Yeah,
but it's on
Spotify
or anywhere else.
It's episode 193 goes 192, 194, no 193. I had to go onto Podbean, the Podbean app.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm looking that up now because that just seems weird to me. But not to say that's 193. You said?
Huh? Yeah,
193.
193.
That's weird.
Yeah.
It might also be. I'm going to check. Indulge us, folks. I'm going to look on Google Podcasts.
Ooh, you know what? Check on YouTube because I wonder if that one got a copyright strike.
I don't doubt that it did. Hold up. Sorry, folks. Got to look this up. 197, 766. Yep, 193. Google Podcasts.
Oh.
So
it's
weird, but we're also on Google Podcasts because we just. So yeah, absolutely. Check us out there. Also, check out all of our past videos where are tons of our movie reviews. This is our last review of 2021. Very excited about that, but we're looking forward to bringing out to 2022 with a whole lot of stuff. Next week we will continue. Quite honestly, we're almost at the end of our Pixar reviews.
Yeah.
We're into 2019.
And after Pixar, we've got a
Bond.
A little bit of a Bond, James Bond. Going.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
So yeah. Also, if you want to follow us, follow our thoughts and what musings, follow us on Facebook, on Twitter at Geek Salad Radio, and on Facebook Geek Salad Podcast. So anyway, folks, thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm Andy.
I'm Mike.
Go forth, be nerdful, and fly, you fools.